When my parents called to invite me to their 40th wedding anniversary dinner at a fancy Italian restaurant downtown, I felt genuinely excited. After years of feeling invisible in my own family, I thought this was finally my chance to be seen as the adult I had become. I was 29 years old, financially independent, and ready to introduce Erica, my girlfriend of 2 years, to the extended family. But the moment I walked through those elegant restaurant doors, everything changed. Before I continue with this story, I would love to know where you are watching from today. Drop your city or country in the comments below. If you have ever felt like the invisible one in your own family, hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. Now, let me tell you what happened when I decided that enough was enough. Let me give you some background about myself and my family so you can understand why that night hurt so deeply. I grew up in the suburbs of Boston, the youngest of 3 children in what most people would call a typical American family. My father worked as an engineer for a manufacturing company, and my mother stayed home until we were all in school, then took a part-time job at a local boutique. From the outside, we looked like the picture of suburban success, but inside our home there was always an invisible hierarchy, and I was permanently stuck at the bottom. My older brother Marcus is 35 years old now. He became a lawyer, married his college sweetheart Lauren 8 years ago, and they have 2 beautiful children together. My sister Danielle is 33. She works as an accountant, married her husband Bradley 5 years ago, and they have a 4-year-old daughter. Both of my siblings followed what my parents considered the correct path through life. They graduated from prestigious universities, found stable careers, got married young, and started families. Then there was me. I work in digital marketing for a mid-sized technology company. It is not law or accounting, but I am good at what I do, and I make a comfortable living. I have been financially independent since I was 22 years old. I bought my own car, I pay my own rent for a nice apartment in the city, and I have never asked my parents for a single dollar since graduating college. But none of that seemed to matter to them. In their eyes, I was still the baby of the family, the one who had not quite figured out life yet. Every family gathering followed the same script. My parents would spend the first hour bragging about Marcus and his latest legal victory, or Danielle and her new promotion. They would show photos of their grandchildren, discuss vacation plans with my siblings, and talk about investment properties they were considering. And then, almost as an afterthought, someone would turn to me and ask the same question they had been asking for years. When are you getting married? It did not matter that I had a successful career. It did not matter that I was responsible and independent. The only milestone that counted in my family was marriage and children. Everything else was just killing time until you became a real adult. 2 years ago, I met Erica at a mutual friend's birthday party. She is 27 years old, works as a nurse at one of the biggest hospitals in Boston, and she is the kindest person I have ever known. Our first date was at a small coffee shop near the harbor, and we talked for 4 hours straight. I knew by the end of that night that she was someone special. Erica has warm brown eyes that crinkle when she laughs, and she laughs often. She works night shifts 3 times a week, comes home exhausted, and still finds the energy to cook dinner for us because she knows I am hopeless in the kitchen. She volunteers at a free clinic on her days off. She remembers everyone's birthday, sends cards to her patients' families after difficult surgeries, and once drove 2 hours in a snowstorm to help her elderly neighbor get to a doctor's appointment. She is without question the best person I know. 6 months after we started dating, Erica moved into my apartment. We talked about our future constantly. We discussed the kind of house we wanted to buy someday, how many kids we might want, even the names we liked. I had already started looking at engagement rings in secret. I was planning to propose on our 2-year anniversary just 3 months away, but my family never seemed to accept her. I had introduced Erica to my parents 3 times before the anniversary dinner. Each time they treated her with a cold politeness that made my stomach turn. My mother asked pointed questions about her salary, whether nursing was really a stable career, and how she planned to support a family working those hours. My father barely spoke to her at all, just nodded occasionally and excused himself to watch television. After our second visit, Erica cried in the car on the way home. She said she felt like she was being interviewed for a job she would never get. I promised her that my parents just needed time to warm up to her. I told her they were like that with everyone at first. But deep down I knew the truth. My parents did not think Erica was good enough for their family because she was not married to me yet. In their minds, she was just a girlfriend, temporary and unimportant. When my mother called a week before the anniversary dinner, I felt a spark of hope that maybe things were finally changing. She told me the dinner was at Luciano's, the upscale Italian restaurant in downtown Boston, where they had celebrated their 25th anniversary. She said the whole family would be there, and she emphasized that word in a way that made me feel included for once. I asked if I could bring Erica, and there was a long pause before she said yes. That pause should have been my first warning sign. Erica and I spent days preparing for that dinner. I bought a new navy blue suit that she helped me pick out. She chose an elegant black dress and spent the whole afternoon getting ready. We even bought a gift together, a beautiful canvas print of an old family photograph that I had digitally restored, showing my parents on their wedding day. On the drive to the restaurant, Erica held my hand and admitted she was nervous. She said she really wanted this dinner to go well, that she wanted my parents to see how serious we were about each other. I squeezed her hand and promised her that tonight would be different. Tonight they would finally see us as a real couple. I had never been more wrong about anything in my entire life. Luciano's was everything I remembered from my childhood. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling, casting warm golden light across white linen tablecloths. The walls were decorated with old photographs of Italy, and the air smelled like fresh bread and garlic. Waiters in crisp black uniforms moved between tables with practiced grace, and soft classical music played in the background. We arrived at exactly 7 o'clock, right on time. When the hostess led us to the private dining area my parents had reserved, I saw that everyone else was already there. Marcus stood near the head of the table, laughing at something my father had said. His wife Lauren sat nearby, scrolling through her phone. Danielle was at the other end of the room, showing something on her tablet to Bradley, while their 4-year-old daughter played with a doll on the floor. Marcus and Lauren's 2 children, a 7-year-old boy and a 5-year-old girl, were chasing each other around the chairs. My mother spotted us first. She was wearing a red dress I had never seen before, and her hair was styled in an elaborate updo. She waved us over with a smile that did not quite reach her eyes. My father nodded in our direction but did not move from his conversation with Marcus. Lauren looked up briefly, offered a polite smile, then returned to her phone. Danielle called out a quick hello without getting up. Bradley did not acknowledge us at all. I felt Erica's hand tighten around mine, and I gave her what I hoped was a reassuring squeeze. As we approached, I noticed something strange about the room's setup. There were 2 tables in the private area, not one. The main table was large and beautifully decorated with fresh flowers in crystal vases, white candles in silver holders, and elegant place settings with multiple forks and spoons. It was positioned in the center of the room, right next to the window, with a stunning view of the city skyline. The second table was smaller and pushed into the corner near the kitchen entrance. It had no flowers, no candles, and the place settings were simpler. Paper placemats with cartoon drawings sat at each seat, the kind restaurants give to children to color while they wait for their food. My mother walked toward me with purpose in her step. She glanced briefly at Erica, then focused entirely on me. "You two are at that table," she said, gesturing toward the smaller one in the corner. "With the kids." I stared at her, certain I had misheard. "Excuse me, the kids' table," she repeated, as if explaining something to a slow child. "That is where you will sit. The main table is for the adults." I felt the floor shift beneath my feet. I looked at the main table where my siblings and their spouses were settling in. Marcus was pulling out a chair for Lauren. Danielle was handing her daughter to Bradley so she could sit down. They were all at the big table, the adult table, and I was being sent to sit with children aged 4 to 7. "Mom, I am almost 30 years old," I said, struggling to keep my voice calm. "Why would I sit at the kids' table?" My mother sighed in that way she always did when she thought I was being difficult. "You are not married. You have not started a family. Until you do those things, you are not really an adult in this family. That is how we have always done it." I looked at my father for support, but he had already taken his seat at the head of the main table. He met my eyes for just a moment before looking away. "Your mother is right," he said without turning around. "When you get married, you can sit with us." Marcus laughed from across the room. "Come on, little brother. It is not that big of a deal. Just sit down and enjoy the dinner." My jaw clenched. I turned back to my mother, grasping for any argument that might change her mind. "I have a career. I own my apartment. I have been with Erica for 2 years. We live together. How is that not being an adult?" My mother's expression hardened. Living with someone does not count. Not until it is official. A real commitment means marriage, a wedding, a ring. Until then, you are just playing house. She said those last words while looking directly at Erica. I felt Erica flinch beside me. When I turned to look at her, I saw that her face had gone pale. She was clutching the box of homemade cookies she had baked that morning as a gift for my mother, holding it against her chest like a shield. Danielle's voice cut through the tension. "Erica, do not take it personally. We all went through this phase." Lauren leaned over to whisper something to Danielle, but she spoke just loud enough for everyone to hear. "At least we got married within a year of dating." My mother nodded approvingly. "If Erica was serious about you, she would have pushed for a wedding by now. That is what a woman who really wants to be part of this family would do." I watched Erica's hands begin to tremble. She had spent all week looking forward to this dinner. She had baked those cookies from scratch using her grandmother's recipe. She had asked me a dozen times what she should wear, how she should do her hair, what topics she should bring up in conversation. She had tried so hard to be accepted by my family, and they had just dismissed her as if she meant nothing. I looked around the room at my family. Marcus and Lauren settling into their seats at the adult table. Danielle and Bradley already looking at the menu. My father pouring wine for everyone at the main table. My mother standing there with her arms crossed, waiting for me to accept my place at the kids' table like an obedient child. The 7-year-old nephew ran over and tugged at my sleeve. "Uncle, are you going to sit with us?" It was an innocent question from an innocent child, but it hit me like a punch to the chest. My mother smiled at the interaction as if it proved her point. "See, the children are excited to have you join them." Something inside me broke in that moment, but it was not the kind of breaking that leaves you weaker. It was the kind that sets you free. I do not know how long I stood there. It could have been seconds or minutes. Time seemed to stretch and compress simultaneously as I processed what had just happened. But then I looked at Erica again. She was still holding that box of cookies, the one she had spent hours making. I remembered her in our kitchen the night before, flour on her apron, carefully mixing ingredients while she told me how much she hoped my mother would like them. She had been so nervous, so eager to make a good impression, and my family had not even given her a chance. Erica must have sensed me looking at her because she turned to meet my eyes. I expected to see tears, but instead I saw something else. Understanding. She gave me a small nod, almost imperceptible, as if to say, "Whatever you decide, I am with you." We found 2 seats at the kids' table and sat down. The chairs were too small. My knees bumped against the underside of the table, and I had to angle my legs sideways to fit. A paper placemat with a cartoon drawing of a chef sat in front of me, crayons scattered nearby. The 7-year-old was already coloring, his tongue stuck out in concentration. From across the room, I could hear my family at the adult table. Wine glasses clinked. Laughter erupted. My mother was telling a story about their honeymoon in Italy, and everyone was hanging on every word. Not once did any of them look in our direction. A waiter approached our table with menus. He looked at Erica and me with obvious confusion, then down at the 3 children coloring their placemats. "What would you all like to order tonight?" he asked, addressing the table as if we were all the same. The 7-year-old looked up from his coloring. "We are not all kids," he announced. "Uncle is old." The waiter's face reddened. "I apologize, sir. Let me get you an adult menu." As he hurried away, that child's words echoed in my mind. Even a 7-year-old could see the absurdity of this situation. Even a child knew that a grown man should not be sitting at a table meant for young children. Erica touched my arm gently. "Maybe we should just get through this dinner," she whispered. "We do not have to make a scene." I knew she was trying to help. She had spent so much of our relationship being patient with my family, giving them chance after chance to accept her. She did not want to cause trouble, did not want to be the reason for family drama. But that was exactly the problem. We had been so focused on not making waves that we had allowed ourselves to be drowned. I looked at the main table, really looked at it for the first time that night. My father sat at the head like a king presiding over his court. My mother sat beside him, basking in attention. Marcus was regaling everyone with stories about his latest legal victory, while Lauren nodded admiringly. Danielle was showing photos of their recent vacation to some beach resort, and Bradley was making jokes about the hotel service. They were a complete unit, a closed circle. And there was no room in that circle for me or Erica. When had it become like this, I asked myself. When did I stop mattering to them? But even as I asked the question, I knew the answer. It had always been like this. I had just refused to see it. I remembered my 25th birthday when my parents had thrown a party for Marcus because he had just made partner at his law firm. My birthday happened to fall on the same weekend, but they forgot. When I reminded my mother, she laughed and said they would celebrate mine next year. They never did. I remembered my college graduation when I walked across that stage to receive my diploma and looked out at the audience to find my family's seats empty. They had decided to attend my niece's dance recital instead because, according to my mother, she was only 3 and she would remember if Grandma was not there. I remembered calling my parents to tell them I had been promoted to senior manager at my company, the youngest person to ever hold that position. My father listened for about 30 seconds before saying he had to go because Marcus was calling on the other line. All those moments, all those small rejections, they piled up like stones on my chest until I could barely breathe. And now here I was, almost 30 years old, being told I was not adult enough to sit with my own family. The waiter returned with adult menus for Erica and me. I took mine without really seeing it. The words blurred together on the page as I stared at them, not reading, just thinking. What would happen if I just left, I wondered. What would they do? The thought was terrifying and exhilarating at the same time. From the adult table, I heard my mother say something about how wonderful it was to have the whole family together for this special occasion. She specifically mentioned Marcus and Danielle by name, praised Lauren and Bradley for being such wonderful additions to the family. She did not mention me. She did not mention Erica. To her, we were not really part of this celebration at all. We were just babysitters seated with the children to keep them occupied while the real adults enjoyed their evening. That was when I made my decision. I reached under the table and took Erica's hand in mine. When she looked at me, I leaned close and spoke quietly so only she could hear. We are leaving. Right now. Her eyes widened slightly, but she did not protest. She did not ask why or suggest we stay longer or try to talk me out of it. She simply nodded, squeezed my hand back, and began to stand. I stood up with her. We pushed our chairs in carefully, quietly, without making a scene. The children barely noticed, too absorbed in their coloring and their chicken fingers that had just arrived. We walked toward the exit, which meant walking past the adult table. I kept my eyes forward, my hand firmly holding Erica's. Where are you going? My mother's voice cut through the ambient noise of the restaurant. I could hear the confusion in it, maybe even a hint of annoyance. I did not stop. I did not turn around. I just kept walking. He is probably going to the bathroom, Marcus said dismissively. We reached the door. I pushed it open and held it for Erica, who stepped through with her box of cookies still clutched in her hands. She had decided not to leave them as a gift, and I was glad. My family did not deserve her cookies. They did not deserve her at all. The night air hit my face as we stepped outside. It was cold, much colder than I had expected, but I barely felt it. Adrenaline was pumping through my veins and my heart was racing. We walked to my car in silence. I unlocked the doors and we both climbed in. I started the engine but did not drive anywhere yet. We just sat there in the parking lot staring straight ahead. 10 minutes passed. Neither of us spoke. Then Erica began to cry. I turned to look at her, alarmed, reaching for her hand. But when she looked up at me, I realized she was not crying from sadness. She was crying from relief. I am so sorry your family treated us that way, she said, wiping her eyes. I am so sorry they made you feel like you do not matter. I pulled her into a hug, holding her tightly across the center console of my car. You have nothing to apologize for, I told her. They are the ones who should be sorry. We stayed like that for a long moment, just holding each other. Then I put the car in gear and drove us home. When we got there, I turned off my phone. Erica turned off hers too. We sat on the couch in our living room and ate the cookies she had made for my mother, the ones that were supposed to be a peace offering, a gesture of goodwill. They were delicious. My family would never know what they missed. I did not turn my phone back on until the next morning. When I did, I found 27 missed calls, 18 text messages, 3 voicemails. The first messages were angry. From my mother, where did you go? Come back right now. You are embarrassing us in front of the whole restaurant. From Marcus, real mature little brother. Way to ruin Mom and Dad's anniversary dinner. This is exactly why you are still at the kids' table. From Danielle, I cannot believe you would do this. So selfish. Everything always has to be about you, does it not? But as the night had gone on and I had not responded, the tone began to change. From my mother 3 hours later, are you okay? At least let us know you are safe. We are worried. From my father, who almost never called me, your mother is upset. Call her back. From Lauren, surprisingly, I am sorry about tonight. I know it was not fair how they treated you. Please let us know you got home safe. I read every message. I listened to every voicemail. And then I put my phone down and did not respond to any of them. For the first time in my life, I let my family feel what it was like to be ignored. Erica and I spent the rest of that weekend together, just the two of us. We watched movies, ordered takeout, went for walks in the park near our apartment. We did not talk about the dinner much because there was not much to say. What had happened was clear. What I was going to do about it was still forming in my mind. On Monday, my mother called again. I let it go to voicemail. On Tuesday, Marcus sent a long text message about family loyalty and how I needed to apologize for my behavior. On Wednesday, Danielle left a voicemail saying she understood why I was upset but that I had handled it badly. I did not respond to any of them. Then on Thursday, I sat down at my computer and wrote a message. I spent 3 hours on it, choosing every word carefully. When I was finished, I sent it to our family group chat. This is what I wrote. I have spent a lot of time thinking about what happened at the anniversary dinner and about our family in general. I need to say some things that I have been holding inside for a very long time. I am 29 years old. I have a career that I am proud of. I have been financially independent for 7 years. I have a partner who I love and who loves me, and we are building a life together. By any reasonable measure, I am an adult. But in this family, none of that matters. The only thing that matters is whether I have a marriage certificate and children. Until I have those things, I am treated as less than. I am seated at the kids' table. I am left out of family decisions. My accomplishments are overlooked. My relationship is dismissed. I have accepted this treatment for years because I did not want to cause conflict. I told myself that it did not really bother me, that I was being too sensitive, that this was just how families worked. But I was wrong. It does bother me. It has always bothered me. And I cannot accept it anymore. More importantly, I cannot accept how you treat Erica. She is kind, hardworking, generous, and loving. She has tried so hard to be accepted by this family, and you have treated her like she does not exist. You have questioned her career, doubted her intentions, and made her feel unwelcome at every opportunity. She does not deserve that. No one does. So here is what is going to happen going forward. I will not attend any family event where I am not treated as an adult. I will not sit at a kids' table. I will not accept being overlooked or dismissed. If you want me in your lives, you need to treat me and Erica with respect. Real respect, not tolerance, not politeness. Respect. If you cannot do that, then I understand. But I will not pretend anymore that everything is fine when it is not. I sent the message and put my phone away. Then I went to work and tried to focus on something other than my family for the first time in days. The responses came slowly. Danielle texted first. I did not realize you felt this way. I need some time to think about this. Marcus texted next. You are being dramatic, but whatever. If this is what you need, fine. My father did not respond at all, which did not surprise me. But my mother called that evening, and when I answered, her voice sounded different. Smaller. Less certain. I did not realize it hurt you that much, she said quietly. I thought we were just being playful. I thought you understood it was not serious. It was serious to me, I told her. It has always been serious. There was a long pause. Then she said something I had never heard her say before. I am sorry. 2 words. Simple words, but they meant more to me than I could express. 3 months later, I proposed to Erica. We were at the same coffee shop where we had our first date, and I got down on one knee right there in front of everyone. She said yes before I even finished asking the question. My family was not there for the proposal, but I called my mother afterward to tell her. This time she sounded genuinely happy for me. She asked about Erica, asked when they could see us, asked if there was anything she could do to help with wedding planning. It was not perfect. There were still awkward moments at family gatherings, still times when old habits crept back in, but something had shifted. For the first time, my family saw me as a man who demanded respect and got it. And Erica, my family finally started treating her like she mattered. Because she does. She always did. Looking back, walking out of that restaurant was one of the hardest things I have ever done, but it was also one of the most important. I learned that night that standing up for yourself is not selfish. Setting boundaries is not rude. Demanding respect is not causing trouble. Sometimes walking away is not giving up. It is choosing yourself, and choosing the people who actually value you. I wish I had learned that lesson sooner. But I am grateful I learned it at all. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever been made to feel like you did not belong in your own family? Have you ever had to stand up for yourself or someone you love against people who should have supported you? Share your story in the comments below. And if this video resonated with you, please take a moment to hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel and share this video with someone who might need to hear it today. Thank you for watching, and remember that you deserve to be treated with respect no matter what table they try to put you at.